Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Good Guys Sports. In this video, we are going to be discussing NFL free agency. That's right, March 2026. There had been a lot of moves, transactions, players moving, players coming back to their team, players failing medicals. There's a lot going on in the world of NFL free agency, and we're going to cover it here on Good Guys Sports. We have to start, Jackson, with probably the biggest NFL headline of this free agency period. A big name player was on the trade market in the form of Max Crosby, the Raiders defensive player. And it looked like there's a bidding war happening that when in fact there was a bidding war happening for Max Crosby. And all the information that we had seemed like he was going to be a Baltimore Raven, and the Raiders were going to be receiving two first round picks and the Raiders were from the Ravens in compensation for that. But then all of a sudden, Max Crosby failed his medical. The Ravens got cold feet, backed out of the deal. There's a lot of conflicting reports here, Jackson, but the Ravens ended up signing Trey Hendrickson from the Bengals on a free agency deal to kind of fill that gap. And it looks like for the time being, Max Crosby will be a Raider, but it's quite the interesting scenario here, Jackson, for free agency. So, what do you made of that whole Max Crosby Ravens Raiders saga?
So it's interesting because from what I'm hearing from the report from Adam Schefter, among others, is that the reason why the Ravens and the Raiders have walked out this trade is because of his injury and medical concerns. There have been so many question marks on whether if he could play for another team or play for the Ravens or et cetera, et cetera. I think that the Raiders just I really wanted to back off from this from the trade offer and for and that from what and from medical doctors and perspective and the agents for the Ravens and for the organization and for the people in a Baltimore perspective just didn't really feel comfortable about it. They just didn't think the offer wouldn't really match well perfectly. And instead, you get Trey Henderson, who I think, in my opinion, the Ravens are far better off of. And so that should really be a piece and player you would be looking for instead. So I think that with Matt Crosby now as their best defensive player for this defensive unit for the Raiders, I feel like is a smart and right decision because if you keep him on the roster and the team, and if you and which I'd say it is the right decision and the right move for for the Raiders and for Las Vegas that you keep him on the team and just stay and back off out of it. And if you remain with the team, then then that's going to really help get a lot of protection on the defensive side of the ball for 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 Las Vegas and for possibly drafting Fernando Mendoza in in this year's NFL draft. So I think that the Ravens, in my opinion, really just didn't like what what they were doing and seeing from what they were backing off of in this
So
offer.
let me ask you a question.
Yes.
Did the Ravens not like what they were seeing, or did they get a better offer and a better deal out of Trey Hendrickson?
That's the
Talk to
Blake
question.
me.
That's the
Blake,
question,
I
right?
think they got a better offer
Conspiracy.
of Trent Henderson. Yes. They got a better offer and trade value because at the end of the day, Matt Crosby just although he's a great defensive player, but I think Travion Henderson is is probably your best backup plan and better bet if you're the Ravens. So I say Henderson is 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 the better and right and better pick in my opinion.
Interesting. Mike, what do you made of this transaction?
Uh, Well, I haven't followed it as much as you guys have followed it, but it's interesting. The Ravens seem to pivot pretty quickly uh, to Trey Henderson. I mean, um, not good for the Bengals to trade somebody like that inside their own division.
Well, exactly. Yeah, it's that's a big free agent signing.
Yeah,
Moving within the same division is no
yeah.
good news for them, is it?
I think Blake should be pretty happy. Looks like the Panthers' defense has gotten a lot better in the last few days.
They're lighting it off. They're spending money, aren't they?
They spending the money. They got Phillips from the Eagles for 4 years, and Devin Lloyd from the Jaguars for 3 years.
Mike, it's almost like they watched the Super Bowl
Yeah.
and learn in the playoffs and learn you can have an average quarterback who got a great defense,
Hmm.
do great things.
Defense wins champions.
That's what everybody says.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You have to say the uh, Panthers definitely will be one of the winners of the free agency period for sure. They definitely have certainly made some pretty good pickups. That's for sure. Some of the other big transactions that I wanted to touch upon, Jackson, I think we should mention that the Atlanta Falcons have signed a new quarterback in the form of Tua Tagovailoa. A bit of an interesting one here, in my opinion, as a recovering Falcons fan. I'm not too sure about how I feel. Well, I'm pretty sure I feel about this one. I'm not particularly a big fan of it, to be fair, but it's a bit of an interesting signing here. Obviously, Kirk Cousins no longer a Falcon. He might get picked up by. I heard somebody talking about maybe he might go to the Raiders, be like a starter before Mendoza kind of thing or something like that. Um, but the quarterback room of it in Atlanta looks like it's going to be Tua and Michael Penix. Jackson. Going to be honest, from my perspective, seems like a bit of a head scratcher. But well, I mean, obviously Miami picked up Malik Willis in free agency, so they see him as a starter. But Tua in Atlanta, a bit of an interesting one, huh?
It is. That would mean you give up your cap space and you move on from Kirk Cousins, who, by the way, he should be retired and join full time with the NFL Today CBS pregame show.
I think he's still got some gas in the tank.
Yes, I don't know, Blake.
I guess we'll see.
I think his playing days are over. He should be he should move on and sign a contract with CBS Sports to be a part of the pregame show on the NFL Today pregame show on CBS, and I think he'll have I think he'll be, and I think
we can make an offer.
Well, I'm sure we can make it happen, but in my opinion, as an analyst on the CBS Sports pregame show for the NFL Day, would be the perfect fit and hire for him for his for the rest of his life and career, in my opinion. Anyway, so
Tua.
Back to Tua. Yes, Tua. So it's interesting because I think that it's a great trade and offer, although I do have a lot of question marks to be asked for this one because yes, you are backing up with Michael Penix Jr., but as we've seen as of late of last year in the NFL season, that he has not been healthy. That he's not well, yeah, and he's not as perfect as most people would be perspective as they once are for how he is as a QB. So if you look at Tua when he was with the Dolphins previously in the last few seasons, that he got injured a lot, he got hit a lot, and that's a big concern that I have because of how he how he has just been earning a lot of money and yet just not making really a lot. So I think that for what as a QB, that he was a great quarterback in college, but in the professional level, he's not been the same quarterback ever since. So with so my reaction to this is that I like it, but I've got question marks, and I just don't know if I really like what I'm seeing if I'm a Falcons fan.
Do you think they're just setting up competition between Penix and Tua, or maybe the concern is that the Falcons actually just need a healthy quarterback?
Well, concern is the right word. I would suggest. Yeah, I think they just want to sign as many lefty quarterbacks as they can get in the building. But gosh, yeah, I don't.
Yeah, quarterback by committee doesn't work.
Well, yeah, you said it. You said it. I'm not too sure what the plan is in terms of Penix can't seem to stay healthy. Tua can't seem to stay healthy. Maybe they're just banking on one of them is going to be injured at all times and one of them is going to be healthy, so they just have somebody to play. But yeah, I would not particularly confident about those signings, in my opinion. But we'll see. We'll see. I think other, staying in the NFC South as well. The Saints ended up getting ETN from the Jaguars on a 4-year, $52 million deal, which I think is a
Yeah,
pretty good pickup for them. A big coup from Jackson. I think Jacksonville actually lost a couple of big pieces,
yeah.
free agent signings there.
Mike Evans is now a 49er.
Of course, Mike Evans signing with the 49ers, a long time Buccaneer, wasn't he? Onto
Yeah.
a 3-year deal with the 49ers, who themselves will not have Ayuk and Jennings, so they needed to fill that gap, obviously, with somebody. But I mean, he's an older receiver, and he's not had a clean injury record himself, so it's a bit of a gamble from the 49ers, but he's a proven player there. So other deals that jumped out to me, obviously we should mention the trade that happened between the Chiefs and the Rams, where the Rams traded their 29th pick to the Chiefs for Trent McDuffie, who they themselves signed to a 4-year contract, a good cornerback there, solidifying the Rams secondary. Of course, the Rams have the Falcons' first-round pick from a trade last year, piling onto the misery of the poor Falcons transactions we've seen the past couple of years. So they still have a first-round pick.
What do you
Uh,
think of the Chiefs picking up Kenneth Walker
Of
the
course.
third?
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you, Mike. Yeah, that's the other big transaction that we should obviously mention. Reigning Super Bowl MVP Kenneth Walker signing with the Kansas City Chiefs. Jackson, obviously, I know it'll be tough to see a Seahawk great. I mean, I guess he won a Super Bowl MVP for the team, so it's fair to call him that. Leaving the team, but 3 years, 45 million with 28.7 million guaranteed on that deal, just to give the full figures there. Obviously, Seattle a little bit rich for their blood, personally speaking, but what do you make of that transaction, Jackson? Obviously, Seattle didn't want to fork up the cash, so Walker's off to KC. Your reaction to that deal?
Hey, listen, he has had a great year with our beloved Seahawks. He's won a Super Bowl MVP. He's won a Super Bowl title. He's had a great career. The Seahawks organizations, and their just could not come up with a agreement. It was just too much money for an offer. They did everything they could. It was just happened to be that the offer was just a bit too much. They did all they could, but I think the offer that they tried to match was just a bit too much, and that was where things just got a little sideways and turned, and that's where the and that was where the and then that was where the Kenneth Walker signing to the Chiefs became official, and so we wish him the best. I think he'll have a great career with Patrick Mahomes and with Travis Kelce. He will have a great career there. I definitely wish him the best, and important to note that he will go from one loud stadium to the other, um, at GEA Field at Arrowhead Stadium, which is very similar to the 12th man crowd at Lumen Field in Seattle. Very similar at, at atmosphere, stadium style, and environment. So he'll very similar, but but I wish we had him back for extension. But it was just but sometimes it doesn't always have it. But sometimes it just doesn't always work out that way in NFL free agency. That's just how it is. I mean, some players get resigned, some players don't. That's just how it works. But unfortunately, Kenneth Walker happened to be one of those players. But I wish him the best, and I hope he has a great career with Mahomes. And I think he will do, and I think he will do great next season with the Chiefs.
Mike, do you agree with that sentiment? Ultimately, Seattle didn't want to fork up the cash, but Kansas City had a need in running back position, so both parties happy, maybe?
I think so. You'd hate to uh, lose Walker if you were the Seahawks, but you can understand it being a business. But it sounds like the Chiefs are you know trying to get back into the playoffs, re-signing Kelsey but they did lose the linebacker to the Commanders. Leo Chanel
Mm-hmm.
is now a Commander, so I'm happy about that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, couple good transactions there on the Commander side for sure.
Yeah.
Got a couple good players to the door there. To be fair, to be
Mhm.
fair.
Yeah, we got a
Um,
new tight end from the Titans.
is that a Conquo, right?
Uh-huh. Yep.
3 years, 30
Yeah,
million. He'll be a good pickup for you.
I think so. I
As
think
much
he'll be
as
a good target for Jaden to throw to.
Absolutely, yeah. As much as we liked watching, was it Zach Ertz?
Zach Ertz. Yeah. Well, you know, I like Zach, uh, but
Great guy.
he uh, he had an ACL injury last year, and he'll be 35, this coming year. So he's got a little bit of mileage on him. Where the new tight end is, I think he's like 27. So
Yeah, yeah. Good pickup for sure. Good pickup for
yeah.
sure. Other transactions that I had my eye on personally, I think we should probably mention the Colts because they actually had a couple of interesting transactions on their end. They ended up signing Daniel Jones to this is a high number here. Pay attention. 2 years, $88 million. That was not a typo, by the way. Obviously, he had a good year that was halted by an injury last year. Um, but it's more than 60 million guaranteed, 50 in the first year. I think he originally got like the transition tag, and then they eventually worked out this 2 year deal. And then they as well re-signed their receiver Alec Pierce, who was a bit of a prized possession on the wide receiver free agent market. I know a lot of teams were probably interested in getting his signature, but he's back in Indianapolis on a 4 year, $114 million deal himself.
Boy,
So
not a bad year for Duke alumni in the professional leagues this year.
no
You know,
kidding. Absolutely, absolutely. No kidding at all. So interesting. I mean, obviously the Colts season kind of came to a halt. I mean, they ended up starting Philip Rivers last year, so that gives you a sign of how the season ended, obviously because of injuries. But they traded their picks for Sauce Gardner as well, defensive back. So they're obviously all in, putting their chips on the table. But I think a lot of teams are still in the market for a receiver position. So Pierce coming off the market definitely cooled the receiver free agents a little bit, didn't he?
Yeah. Well, I think what's interesting about that is, well, a couple things. One is it's only 2 years for Jones. It's a lot of money, but it's only 2 years. So their risk is mitigated by that.
Right.
But with Irsay passing, and now his team's I think his daughter inherited the team.
Yeah.
Um, it sounds like she's all in.
It certainly seems that way. Yeah, I feel like they've built a pretty good team there. It's interesting strategy kind of going all in like
Yeah.
this with trading their picks for Sauce Gardner, re-signing Pearson Jones. But to be fair to them, they're also not in the toughest division. Traditionally you don't think of the AFC South as being a tough division, but to be fair to Houston and Jacksonville, they're putting together pretty decent rosters, and Tennessee's obviously on the rise as well. So maybe they see this as a window in the AFC as well, the Colts. So
Yeah. Well, you gotta rehire Indiana Jones.
well, of course, the nickname alone is worth a contract. I would suggest. Jackson,
I've never heard that. That is fantastic.
Indiana
I've
Jones.
never
Yeah,
heard that. I can't believe I've never heard that. That's too good.
you gotta keep an eye on Indiana
Yeah.
Jones this year, Blake. Jackson, what other free agent transactions caught your eye in this period? Probably not Geno Smith
No, no, no.
going back to the Jets, did it?
No, no,
Um,
no, 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 no.
but what deals do you want to discuss here that we haven't already?
Yeah, so the Seahawks, flip side for the Seahawks, did sign a player other than Kenneth Walker's departure from the team. They have signed a former Packer named Emmanuel Wilson to a 1-year deal to play for our beloved Seahawks in a 1-year guaranteed contract deal. And then the other player that I should have that I should have to mention is you have speaking of Uncle Mike's Commanders, Washington Commanders, Bernardine Gold team, is that you have running back, as mentioned, as he said on the show, Rashid White for a 1-year contract. Sonny told ESPN and Shedder on his Thursday that Chris Rodriguez, that White will actually reunite with quarterback Jaden Daniels, who I don't know if you know this, but they actually played college together at Arizona State. So that will be a great. So that sounds like to me that it will be a great reunion together for some great, for probably possibly a great target and some great teaming together to reunite in the pro level. So I think so. That tells me that they probably have a great relationship to reunite together, get those friends back together, and just have this friendship come to life all these years later.
Absolutely, yeah. I think that's a really good point. Really good point. Another big transaction that happened both conferences to be fair, but the Bears traded DJ Moore to the Buffalo Bills. They were one of the teams I mentioned earlier about some teams looking to fill that receiver position, and the Bills did that with a 2026 fifth round pick and then a 2026 second round, or excuse me, the Bills acquired Moore and then a fifth round pick, and then they gave up a second round pick in this year's draft. So second round picks are pretty valuable, so pretty steep margin, but obviously the Bills are in win now mode, and you have to say their receiving core did end up letting them down a little bit last year, so they kind of had to get somebody. They might end up drafting receiver. Maybe their receiver drafting their receivers they drafted in the past couple of years maybe haven't panned out, so they're going for the free agency route this time. So interesting one for sure. And I know another receiver getting a lot of buzz, possibly trade rumors, would be AJ Brown for the Eagles. Obviously, nothing concrete as of right now in terms of trade offers or movement, but he certainly voiced his frustrations with the Eagles last year. So there's some speculation about him being moved, but nothing concrete as of yet. So do keep an eye on that for sure. What else?
Hold that thought, Blake. We got some
Yep,
breaking news
go for it.
from Adam Schefter.
Shefty.
Yes, that's right. Shout to
This might
Shefty.
be the first time this has ever happened on our radio show.
Well, you
Keep
know
going,
what?
Jack. I
Shout out
like
to
it.
Shefty, by the way.
Baby.
Well, let's just keep it going, shall we? Hope Sheppy's listening. He says that former Cardinals quarterback Kyler Murray is signing to a 1-year deal with the Minnesota Vikings.
Oh,
So
wow.
that's one of my sources. So that's what my ESPN notification sources are hearing.
Sources are
That
saying.
yes, and that will include a former number one 10th overall pick, and J.D. McCarthy, who will now be possibly his backup, and with Murray now owning $36 million from Arizona, that would mean his 1-year contract with the Vikings will be for the veteran league minimum. So there's a lot to digest on what just went down moments ago, just now here are good guys sports, Blake.
1-year deal. Wow. So Murray is now part of the quarterback room that, like you mentioned, includes J.J. McCarthy. Wow. So, um, I
Well,
have
at
to
least they're
say,
doing better than the Falcons.
well, I mean, I have to say, Mike, I would have wished the Falcons would have gotten Kyler Murray. I think
Yeah.
in
No,
terms of
that's what I'm
the
saying.
veteran quarterbacks with question marks on them, Tua, Kyler, you know, Kirk Cousins, or
Hmm.
like whoever you want to, Geno Smith, whoever you want to throw in that ballpark. I think Kyler Murray is the best option. I think maybe Arizona was a bit of a lost cause, so
Yeah.
putting him in a new situation. We've seen Kevin
That
O'Connell in Minnesota.
that's a great insurance policy.
Well, we've seen Kevin O'Connell, right, Mike, in Minnesota revitalize the
Hmm.
career of Sam Darnold, who just won
Hmm.
Super Bowl last year. So, do we think maybe this could be a career revitalization for Kyler Murray?
It could be. It's either that is going to make JJ McCarthy that much better.
A bit of
Getting
fuel to
some
the fire
compet
there for
giving
sure.
give me some competition.
Jackson, what do you think about this one, man? I mean, Minnesota has the weapons. They have Jefferson. They have competent players on both sides of the ball. But obviously, last year, what they lacked was a bit of a experience and, well, dare I just say, good quarterback play. McCarthy flattered to deceive. He had his injury, and they had to patch the holes there. So Kyler Murray in Minnesota, I mean, that sounds pretty good on paper, right?
I mean, um, you you would have to think for hopeful if the team stays healthy along with Jefferson, like you said, in those and this Kevin O'Connell's spread run offense, which I feel like has got to really like in what he's seeing for his QB they traded for. So I feel like the Vikings, in my opinion, do like what they're getting, despite that you do have competition on this roster um with um with McCarthy. And so I feel like to me this is going to be there's going to be some quarterback battle heading into training camp, possibly into the NFL preseason, into one of their games later this year. Depending on how it all plays out, is probably going to is probably what it's going to what it's going to most likely going to happen for this team. But I mean, I don't know if I like this trade or this offer, but it seems like it's I'm not surprised. I mean, this was his next best team that his favorite to be the potential fit for this team, which I'm not really surprised on, and I think that with him now with the Vikings, I think with all the money that he's owed with the Cardinals for all of his previous seasons and years there, I just think that for his new team up in Minnesota, I just think that it's going. I just think it's a great. It's it's a. I mean, I like it. I just don't know if I have to. I'll just have to wait and see how it all shapes and unfold for um for his
Jackson, you know what I got to say to
for his
that?
next season and
You know what I got to say to
for the
that,
season. And
Jackson?
I think that I have to say, go ahead, Blake.
Jackson, I heard when they interviewed Kyler Murray, he had a one-word answer for everything they asked him about this. You know what he said?
No, what's that?
Skull.
Well, yes,
Skull.
yes, yes.
Skull.
Skull, skull,
Skull.
skull, and then
SKOL, baby.
skull.
Skull.
the crowd is really into it, and I think U.S. Bank Stadium, to your point with the skull chant, they are going to go. And yes, I do have questions about it about this move for the Scooby, like I said. But at the end of the day, like you said, Blake, I think U.S. Bank Stadium and doing the skull chant, they are going to go electric, and I think the fans in Minneapolis and Minnesota, whoever's watching, are going to really are going to be tuned in and watch and see how he even plays and performs this upcoming NFL season.
Absolutely, absolutely. Some late breaking news here on Good Guys Sports to cap off our NFL free agency special. Lots of great transactions. Long way till the end to start of the NFL season, but obviously we're not too far away from the NFL draft, where the football news and notes will be soon to follow. So, want to thank you all for viewing and listening our 2026 free agency NFL special here on Good Guys Sports. Jackson, Mike, Blake, thank you, and signing off.
Thank you. Good night.